On the news tonight, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori bags Award of Excellence in Leadership from Petroleum Training Institute. State House of Assembly upholds suspension of Rector of Delta State Polytechnic, Ogwashuku. President Bola Tinubu swears in new chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission. And abroad, United States President imposes new sanctions on Russia's two largest oil companies. Good evening and welcome to Delta TV Main News. I am Francis Ofulue. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube, both at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website www.dbsasaba.com. Now the details. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has received an award of excellence in leadership from the Petroleum Training Institute (PTI) for his visionary leadership and contributions to Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The award was presented during the 4th Biennial International Conference on Hydrocarbon Science and Technology held at the Petroleum Technology Development Fund, PTDF Towers, Abuja. Ejima Otueme reports.
Represented by the Chief of Staff, Government House, Honorable Johnson Erijo, the governor said he was humbled by the recognition, describing it as a tribute not to him alone, but to the resilience and enterprise of the people of Delta State, whose land and waters had sustained Nigeria's energy wealth for decades. Speaking on the theme of the conference, Transforming Africa's Hydrocarbon Sector, Balancing Growth, Environment and Governance, Governor Oborevwori said the paradox of wealth and deprivation in the Niger Delta must give way to an era of inclusive growth, environmental justice, and institutional reform. He noted that peace and security had been prioritized as the bedrock for sustainable investment, while proactive engagement with community leaders and industry operators had fostered stability and trust. The governor also highlighted his administration's focus on environmental remediation and accountability, insisting that oil operations in the state must conform to global best practices to protect fragile ecosystems.
Of course, technology copy is easier, so I do not think that it will be difficult for Nigeria to migrate to that renewable energy. If other countries are moving, of course, the migration will not be difficult for Nigeria. It's just for us to put the necessary framework, which is why we are here in this conference and other areas as we speak.
The principal and chief executive officer of PTI, Dr. Samuel Onoji, said the conference was a vital platform for dialogue on Africa's energy future as the world navigates an evolving energy transition. He reaffirmed PTI's role as the continent's foremost center for training, research, and technical capacity development, having produced over 55,000 skilled professionals since inception.
Let me also greatly express my deep gratitude to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Delta State, Right Honorable Elder Sheriff Oborevwori, for his immense contribution toward the success of this conference.
Governor Oborevwori's recognition by PTI, observers noted, reinforces his administration's growing national profile as a champion of responsible governance, environmental protection, and inclusive growth in the oil and gas industry. Ejima Uduime reporting.
The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Motimi Guo, has reaffirmed the 8th Assembly's commitment to institutionalizing post-legislative scrutiny as a key component of legislative processes. The Speaker made this statement during a workshop organized by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy on post-legislative scrutiny for lawmakers held in Asaba. Favor Okafo reports.
Describing post-legislative scrutiny (PLS) as a systematic review of laws after enactment to determine whether they are achieving their intended objectives, he noted it will strengthen the legislature's resolve to ensure lawmaking promotes evidence-based policies and deepen public trust in the legislative institution. Right Honorable Moore emphasized that the State House of Assembly is poised to join this global practice and become the first in the South-South region to integrate post-legislative scrutiny into its legislative framework to monitor, implement, engage stakeholders, and make necessary amendments to improve governance quality. The Speaker commended the Westminster Foundation for Democracy for its unwavering support in promoting legislative excellence in Nigeria, particularly through its technical assistance, research initiatives, and training programs for lawmakers.
The legislative process focus on making laws. Post-legislative scrutiny focuses on making sure those laws work effectively in practice. For any legislation that is serious about accountability, transparency, and good governance, PLS is not optional.
The country director of the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, Mr. Adebowale Olorumola, said the initiative, titled Enhancing the Impact of Subnational Assemblies Through Post-Legislative Scrutiny, aims to build the capacity of lawmakers and legislative staff to evaluate the effectiveness and impact of laws.
And we are so happy and we appreciate that the leadership of the State Assembly keyed into the PLS. The State Assembly is going to work with WFD to introduce PLS to the Assembly.
Favor Okafor reporting.
The State House of Assembly has upheld the 6-month suspension of the rector of Delta State Polytechnic Ogwashigu, Professor Emmanuel Achuenu. This follows the adoption of a report by the Assembly's ad hoc committee investigating the ongoing administrative and financial crisis at the institution. Once again, Favor Okafor reports.
The committee, chaired by Honorable Emeka Nwobi, conducted a thorough investigation and presented its findings to the House.
6-month suspension of the rector by the council should be upheld by the visitor to allow for an unfettered, undisturbed, and unbiased investigation into the alleged administrative misconduct and financial enterprise to breaches leveled against him by the council. That the deputy rector should act until the expiration of the 6 months. That the bursar should be placed on 3 months suspension, and the most senior chief accountant in the bursary should act until the expiration of the 3 months. That the Honorable Commissioner for Higher Education be cautioned and advised to always work in compliance with the law, establishing the polytechnic and other tertiary institutions in the state, and should desist from usurping the powers of the visitor.
Some lawmakers supported the report and proposed minor amendments to strengthen its recommendations.
This report, we cannot agree less, and is very unambiguous, very straightforward. As a professor, a rector of a school, ignorant of law is no excuse. Somebody who is well read, and he is supposed to know the law in an organization or a school where he is the head of the school. So, Mr. Speaker, there is so much to be debated.
Following the adoption, the Speaker of the House, the Right Honorable Emomotimi, directed that the resolutions be communicated to the State Governor and relevant authorities for necessary action. Favor Okafor reporting.
The Renewed Hope initiative of the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, in collaboration with the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, has donated a digital learning center to the state. The center, which was commissioned today at the Model Technical College Asaba, was graced by the wife of the state governor, Deaconess Tubara Obodewori, who commended the initiative. Sams Ohojide has details.
Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who spoke via teleconference, said 15 digital learning centers have been commissioned so far across the country. She emphasized that the initiative would accelerate economic diversification through technology development. The First Lady and chairperson of the Renewed Hope Initiative also noted that the digital centers would enhance learning and creativity, improve livelihoods, and contribute to the advancement of digital literacy and inclusive economic growth across the country.
I know earlier you can hear that from the DG's speech. He talked about they've commissioned about 296 learning centers, and 148 is still in the pipeline. Also, at the total of 592 would be the sum total of what you would do before the first time of this administration.
The wife of the state governor and founder of the Umata Charity Foundation, Dickiness Tobore Oborewuri, represented by the wife of the secretary to the state government, Dr. Abule Emu, thanked Senator Luremi Tinubu for the establishment and handover of the Digital Learning Center to the state. She described the center as a gateway to digital innovation and transformation, the language of the Gen Z generation, which will accelerate their developments.
Sincerely commend the Renewed Hope Initiative for its visionary programs that continue to uplift Nigerian families, especially in the areas of education, empowerment, and digital inclusion.
The Director General of NITDA, Mr. Kashifu Abdullahi, represented by the Director of Corporate Planning and Strategy, Dr. Dimi Waruwe, emphasized the need for proper maintenance and optimal utilization of the digital center. He also promised to process the request for a larger computer hall for the Model Technical College, Asaba.
So this is a testament to the fact that we are truly determined to ensure that technology is used in our daily lives.
Earlier, the host and commissioner for technical education, Honorable Smart Ejoma Ofo, said the Digital Learning Center would have a significant impact on students, educators, and society at large.
I wish to use this opportunity to call upon all education stakeholders to partner with the Ministry of Technical Education, as government alone cannot shoulder the full responsibility of uplifting the technical and vocational education and training sector.
In the same vein, the school principal, Mrs. Violet Uwajere, as well as teachers and students of the college, expressed appreciation for the digital center donated to the school, noting that it would enhance practical learning in a digitally driven world. Sams Opojite reporting.
The state government has continued to support vulnerable widows across the state with a payment of another monthly stipend of 15,000 naira to beneficiaries in the 270 federal wards. The disbursement, which took place on the 16th and 17th of October, follows an earlier payment of 45,000 naira each to the widows, representing 3-month stipends, as promised by the state governor. The executive assistant to the governor on social investment programs and technical head of the World Bank Livelihood Support Program, Elder Isima Okunta, who disclosed this to newsmen in Asaba, described the Widows Welfare Scheme as a key component of the governor's renewed hope for more agenda and a flagship socio-economic policy aimed at improving the lives of the state's most vulnerable population. He explained that the initiative was not only about financial support, it was about to design and restore dignity to widows and inspire hope among other vulnerable groups in society. Elder Okonte commended Governor Sheriff Obodewori for his compassion and commitment to the welfare of the poor and vulnerable in their society and the state at large. And now President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Mr. Joash Amopita as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The swearing-in took place today at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Mr. Amopita, his appointment follows the expiration of the tenure of the former INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu. During his screening, Mr. Amopita said his goal was to ensure elections where the loser would willingly congratulate the winner. This is a significant step towards strengthening Nigeria's electoral process. Vice President Kashim Shettima has assured the Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, that President Bola Tinubu remains a strong supporter of press freedom. Senator Shettima said this during a meeting with NUJ leaders at the presidential villa in Abuja, saying the administration would not muzzle journalists. He described journalism as the conscience of the nation and stressed that democracy cannot thrive without a free and vibrant media. Senator Shettima also acknowledged the economic challenges facing the media and promised continued government support to sustain the profession. The NUJ urged the government to review outdated laws criminalizing journalism and called for better safety protocols, training, and financial support for media houses. The union reaffirmed its commitment to supporting President Tinubu's development agenda while maintaining its role to hold government accountable. The federal government has released 32.9 billion naira to states and primary healthcare centers across the country under the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund. Health Minister Professor Mohammed Pate said the disbursement, guided by the new PHCPF 2.0 guidelines, was aimed at improving service delivery, supporting health workers, and expanding access to essential healthcare nationwide. Professor Pate explained that a joint task force working with Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has been set up to monitor the proper use of the funds. He revealed that over 21 million Nigerians are now enrolled in health insurance, while visits to primary health care centers had increased fourfold compared to 2023. The minister also announced plans for a mini health survey next year to measure progress in maternal and child health. He said maternal deaths had dropped by 12% since 2023, while an ongoing immunization campaign had already reached more than 90% of children in northern states. The federal government says it will no longer accept deportees from the United States. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, said this during a fireside chat at the Reuters Next Gulf Summit in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. He said the issue was no longer open for discussion in Nigeria-US relations. Ambassador Tuga explained that Nigeria's focus is on developing its own population, tackling unemployment, and training its workforce. He said with a population of over 200 million and projections to reach 400 million in 25 years, the country must concentrate on building its economy from within. The minister added that Nigeria continued to maintain good relations with the United States, but could not take in anyone under duress. He said the government priority was to create jobs and ensure sustainable growth for its citizens. The federal government has called on the United Nations UN to assist Nigeria in accessing long-term funding to tackle the country's growing humanitarian challenges, particularly those linked to internal displacement. The call for the assistance is hinged on the fact that Nigeria's humanitarian response system is facing a significant reduction in external funding, posing a threat to program continuity and operational capacity. Speaking at a roundtable on humanitarian development and peace-building approaches to durable solutions for internally displaced persons, IDPs, in Abuja, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Bagudu, explained that if Nigeria could secure access to $10 billion at an interest rate of 4%, the funds could be used to address humanitarian challenges and generate wealth for internally displaced persons across the country. He just said that the country could explore capital market instruments to raise long-term funding for humanitarian interventions, stressing that reliance on donor grants and short-term support was no longer sustainable. The House of Representatives has passed for reading a bill seeking to amend the EFCC Establishment Act to give it more powers to carry out its tasks in line with current realities. Leading the debate, its sponsor, Mr. Yusuf Gaddi, said the bill seeks to strengthen the institutional independence, operational efficiency, and accountability framework of the EFCC, with a view to making it more efficient in combating the growing complexity of economic and financial crimes in Nigeria. Mr. Gagdi, who heads the House Committee on Navy, said when the EFCC Act was enacted in 2004, it provided Nigeria with a pioneering legal framework to tackle corruption and financial crimes, adding that 2 decades later, the landscape of financial crimes has evolved far beyond what the current law envisaged. He said cybercrime, cryptocurrency manipulation, illicit financial flows, terrorism financing, and real estate-based money laundering had become prevalent, adding that the EFCC operated under outdated provisions that adequately addressed these new realities. He argued that the existing act did not provide sufficient guarantees for the independence of the Commission, exposing it to external influence and political interference. And now the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board has scheduled a computer-based test for shortlisted candidates in its ongoing recruitment exercise. The Secretary to the Board, Major General Abdul Jibril, urged applicants to visit the official recruitment portal to confirm their eligibility and check exam center details. He warned applicants to beware of fraud and to rely only on the official website. The recruitment exercise, targeting positions across the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Immigration Service, Fire Service, and Correctional Service, received about 1.9 million applications nationwide. Applicants are advised to monitor their emails and messages for further instructions as the board proceeds with the selection process. You're watching Delta TV Main News at 8. Still to come, United States President imposes new sanctions on Russia's 2 largest oil companies. Stay with us.
Calm down now. Now the babe they look, we don't me they look am. I don't be the close eyes they work now. What did they do you? Call her over. Talk to call her. But she don't believe that she be my only babe. Hello, BC. Ha. She don't cut call. She don't. Now. What's now? What's happen now? Now so she they do. She go say make I no follow babe. Talk make I no look babe. Impossible. Bro, Sabek, calm down now. Don't mind them. I go call you for phone. No be bro. Hello. Make I not lie you. That babe said she fine. I even call her number. We even come out, but we don't do anything, we just dance.
Bros, what's up with that?
Free on Glow Talk Master. Talk for 6 minutes and get 6 minutes free. Plus 15 megabytes of data. Free. Dial *606#. New customers also enjoy a welcome bonus. Glow Unlimited.
This is Delta TV Main News at 8. We go straight to the foreign scene where the United States President, Mr. Donald Trump, has imposed new sanctions on Russia's 2 largest oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil, to pressure Moscow into a peace deal in Ukraine. The move marked a shift in U.S. policy as President Trump had earlier restricted such measures. The decision came after he cancelled a planned meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, saying their talks do not go anywhere. The Kremlin had dismissed the sanctions, saying Russia was immune to them. The Ukraine's president, Mr. Volodymyr Zelensky, welcomed the move, calling it a good signal. U.S. officials say the sanctions target companies funding the Kremlin's war effort. The United States Secretary of State, Mr. Marco Rubio, has warned that Israel's move towards annexing the occupied West Bank could undermine efforts to end the Gaza conflict. He said such actions risk destabilizing recent progress made in peace talks. Speaking ahead of the visit to Israel, Mr. Rubio said Washington could not support the move, stressing that Israel's internal politics could not disrupt broader diplomatic goals. His trip forms part of U.S. efforts to secure a ceasefire and ease regional tensions. The proposed annexation, backed by far-right Israeli lawmakers, had been met with strong opposition from Palestinians who sees the West Bank as part of a future state. Analysts warned the plan could draw international backlash and further complicate peace negotiations. And now back home, the state government has fixed Saturday, October 25, for the monthly environmental sanitation exercise. The exercise will hold across the state between 7 and 10 in the morning. A statement signed by Director, Public Communication and Functioning Permanent Secretary, Mr. Harold Oji, said vehicular and human movement would be restricted during the exercise. The statement said residents are directed to clear overgrown weeds, dissolved drainages, and ensure their surroundings are clean to prevent flooding and the spread of diseases. The Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Jamani Ijiru, alongside officials of the Waste Management Board, local councils and other agencies, will supervise the evacuation of refuse to designated dump sites. The government warned that defaulters would be prosecuted before mobile magistrate courts and fined accordingly. In business, despite increased refining capacity, Nigeria imported 69% of the 21 billion liters of petrol it consumed between August last year and the first 10 days of October this year. Nigeria imported about 15.01 billion liters of petrol between August last year and the first 10 days of October this year, representing nearly 69% of the total national petrol supply during the 15-month period, despite the commencement of petrol production in September last year by Dangote Refinery. Figures from the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority show that the total PMS supply for the period stood at 21.68 billion liters, with 6.67 billion liters, or 31%, coming from domestic refining. The data, titled Import versus Domestic Supply Performance, captured supply trends over 15 months, highlighting the gradual rise in local production and a corresponding drop in imports. According to the breakdown, imported petrol averaged 44.60 million liters per day in August last year and rose to 54.30 million liters per day in September last year, marking the peak of imports dependence during the period. This was a time when the Dangote Refinery began PMS supply to the local market. It was noted that imports began to decline steadily, falling to 24.15 million liters per day by January this year, 19.26 million liters per day in September this year, and 15.11 million liters per day within the first 10 days of this month. And now for some sports stories. The Court of Arbitration of Sports, CAS, is set to throw out Tanzania from this year's CAF Cup of Nations for fielding an ineligible player in a qualifying game against Guinea. Tanzania, who have been drawn in the same group with Nigeria at the biannual African Football Fiesta, has beaten Guinea by a lone goal in the final group qualifying match to pick the second group ticket ahead of Guinea. However, the Guinea Football Federation petitioned CAF over the matter and appealed the case at the Court of Arbitration for Sports, asking that Tanzania be thrown out for violating CAF rules. According to the Guinea football body, Tanzania had fielded a player whose jersey number and name was not on the CAF approved list for the encounter, saying a player wearing the jersey number 26 without a name had joined the match in the 73rd minute, with Guinea eventually losing the match 1-0. Court of Arbitration for Sports, CAS, is expected to give its ruling on November 17. Still talking sports, manager of English Premiership side Crystal Palace, Oliver Glasner, has revealed that the decision to demote Super Eagles winger come midfielder Chrysanthus Uche to the team's under-21 squad last weekend was due to the player's inability to feature in Nigeria's World Cup qualifiers against Lesotho and Benin Republic. According to Glasner, the move was to help the player maintain fitness as he just returned from an injury spell as well as failure to get a place in the main team since arriving in England on a season-long ban deal from Real Sociedad. The Australian football tactician said unlike speculations of the club punishing the player for returning late from international break, their decision was to prepare Chrysanthus for the club's busy schedule by the Premiership side expected to play full match in 9 days. He said Chrysanthus was not the only player demoted to the under-21 squad, as some other players who are struggling with fitness were also asked to join the youth team to help them return to full fitness speedily. In sports and in basketball, precisely the NBA stars Chelsea Boulay, Terry Rozier and Damon Jones have been arrested by the Federal Bureau of Intelligence (FBI) for involvement in illegal gambling and match fixing. According to United States Attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Joseph Nocella Jr., who made the announcement today, said the case involved some players and the NBA teams, which left victims of the scam losing about $7 million. Mr. Nocella Jr. said the victims were lured to play in rigged games with former NBA professionals Billups, Rozier and Jones, who were then called face cards. The scam is said to have included games from 2023 to 2024, with the scam also involving the 5 New York mafia families, leading over $10 million placed from the unsuspecting victims. And now, our thought for the day. Even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. And to end the news, the highlights. Governor Sheriff Oborevwori has received an award of excellence in leadership from the Petroleum Training Institute (PTI) for his visionary leadership and contributions to Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The award was presented during the 4th biannual International Conference on Hydrocarbon Science and Technology held at the Petroleum Technology Development Fund (PTDF) Towers, Abuja. The State House of Assembly has upheld the 6-month suspension of Rector of Delta State Polytechnic, Ogwashuku, Professor Emmanuel Atrenu. This follows the adoption of a report by the Assembly's ad hoc committee investigating the ongoing administrative and financial crisis at the institution. They also reported that President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Mr. Joash Amukuta as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). The swearing-in took place today at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. From the foreign scene, we reported that the United States President has imposed new sanctions on Russia's 2 largest oil companies. And that's our news. Remember, you can follow us online on Facebook and YouTube, both at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website www.dbsasaba.com. That's the news tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Francis Ofulue. Good evening.
for our Delta people. In less than 22 months, Governor Borowori don show say im promise not be plenty talk with the full basket, not be cho with a more agenda, meaningful development, opportunity for all, realistic reforms, and enhanced peace and security. Progress don burst out everywhere. Im don upgrade over 500 roads, initiate over 300 new ones, and build plenty bridges wey dey connect our communities.
Every day when I dey reach here, my spirit dey jump, my morale dey high, because this bridge never tell for worry. This Sheriff talk soil, Julius Berger is the high. Sheriff! Ah yes!